Jockey Scott Stevens, with more than 4,800 lifetime thoroughbred wins and counting, has been selected by a nationwide vote of his peers as the winner of the 2019 George Wolfe Memorial Jockey Award. This was his third nomination and represents a relatively rare win for a jockey on a smaller circuit.
There's a lot of riders that are deserving that probably never get nominated. The thing about it, it's voted on by the jockeys of the United States at all tracks. There's 5 people nominated each year, and then they send the ballots to the room and we vote. And you know, people got to know who you are. You know, so for me to get a vote in New York, they got to know who I am. You know, I guess you've been around long enough, everybody knows who you are. But very honored to win the award. I was very, very honored.
Stevens considers the award a high point of a career that began in 1976. He grew up in the sport. His father was a horse trainer.
I grew up with horses in our backyard. As long as I can remember, at an early age, I was riding the horses. I rode a horse more than I rode a bicycle. And I was fortunate to stay small enough to get to be a jockey. My younger brother, he also followed in my footsteps, so we were very fortunate. I would say I was probably 10 years old. And I knew I wanted to be a jockey. And at that time I was worried that I was going to get too big. I started galloping my dad's horses. I would sneak onto the racetrack before the track opened. We'd be out there at 4 in the morning, and I was 12, 13 years old. When I was 14, I decided, you know what, I'm 15 now. I had a fake birth certificate, and I started riding when I was 15 years old.
He was caught 5 years later, paid a fine, and the rest is history. As a jockey, he found immediate success.
I was riding in Boise, Boise, Idaho, where I grew up, and I rode good horses, and it was, I loved what I was doing. You know, this is a job that you learn something every day, and I tried to take in as much as I could from. It wasn't a big name track, but there was some good riders that were riding there, and I learned a lot from them.
Stevens came to Turf Paradise and Phoenix during the 1992-93 season and decided to raise a family in Phoenix. At Turf, he is a fan favorite.
You know, I liked everything, and obviously I was successful. That's, you know, you want to be somewhere where you can win races. Bart Hone had a lot to do with how I started things off here. Robbie Junk was my agent, and Bart Hone was was the main trainer that I rode for, and he was basically the only person I knew when I got here, and I knew him from Idaho. And started off with, he was leading trainer and had some very good horses, and I was fortunate the first year I was here as leading rider.
Stevens is also a goodwill ambassador of horse racing for Turf Paradise.
Fans, if we don't have the fans, we don't have a job. You know, basically, it's from the horse to the fan, to the riders, to the trainers, the owners. You know, everybody has to work together, and the way the industry is right now, we need younger people to start coming to the races. And, you know, if we can meet some little kid signing an autograph, you know, hopefully it's a good experience and they'll be back. And that's the future of horse racing. We have to have a younger generation start coming out here. So I try to interact with the fans as much as you can.
Over the years, Stevens has won countless stakes races at Turf Paradise.
Free My Soul holding on! Free My Soul holds on, beat Stormy Music, then Dress Shopping.
Obviously the Phoenix Gold Cup. I rode Rots of Luck 1 year. I won the first Cotton Fitzsimmons on a horse named Grimm for Eric Crueljack. That was a thrill, you know. Any of our big races here, it's, you know, that's something you look forward to winning through the year. I went through the stakes list. I did it a few years ago. I basically have won about every stakes that's run here one time or another.
Scott's brother is jockey Gary Stevens, a Wolfe Award winner and 3-time Kentucky Derby winner.
Oh, he was very excited for me when I won. We are the first brothers to ever win the Wolfe Award. I've been his biggest fan, and he's probably been my biggest fan. We communicate. When he was riding, you know, he'd call, what am I doing wrong? You know, and I had no problems telling him what I thought he was doing wrong, and he does the same thing with me. We're our own critic, but we're our biggest fans also.
Well into his 50s, Scott has no immediate plans to retire.
You know, as long as I'm still having fun, feel like I'm making a difference in the horse, I'll keep riding. It's, you know, I tell everybody I'm semi-retired right now. I'm not working as hard as I did 10 years ago, and I enjoy what I'm doing.
A horrific spill in Minnesota in 2010 did not end Scott's career, but it changed his life.
I'm very fortunate that I'm able to continue to ride after that incident, and you know, it changed aspects of everything. I don't take things for granted anymore. I live each day to the fullest, and very appreciative that I'm able to still continue to do what I do.
Despite decades of racing and more than a few broken bones, the thrill of winning hasn't changed.
But Medaglia Gold, almost a walk in the park, wins the Queen of the Green.
I don't think anything's changed on winning. It's still, I get the same thrill now as I did when I was 15 years old. I mean, that's what we thrive to do, is win a race, and you get the same feeling.
His family's love of horses lives on. He says his granddaughters are showing interest in the sport of horse racing.